Adhika Mas, which is called Purushottam Mas. So in this month, if this month is very dear to Lord Krishna. So if anything is done in this month, it will give more results. So it is very auspicious. So please do more chanting or more reading or whatever more devotional activity one can do. So with that, let's start this Srimad Bhagavatam verse, which is from 4th Canto, 8th chapter. Yesterday we were discussing this 8th chapter. This is about Dhruva Maharaj leaves home, that chapter. So we have discussed that how Dhruva was told by his stepmother Suruchi that he has to go and pray to the Supreme Lord to get birth from the womb of Suruchi to be able to sit on the throne of his father, Uttanpad. And he goes and he goes cryingly, his heart was disturbed, and he went to his mother and cried there and tell that this is what being told to me by Mother Suruchi. And Suniti, who is an exalted devotee, guides Dhruva Maharaj to go to go search for the Supreme Lord and do his devotional activity. So that is actually yesterday's verse that we discussed. And then he would ask that where he should go. So then the idea was given by Suniti that normally to search for the Supreme Lord, different yogis go to the forest and they look for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the indication she gave, and then Dhruva Maharaj goes. So that verse that we read, verse number 23rd, is about again Suniti again saying, no one else is capable of extinguishing your distress except the lotus-eyed Lord Vishnu. So you go, and because even Lakshmi, who holds the lotus flower in her hand, is sought by many demigods, he chooses to engage in his service. So please go and ask for your desires. Then, after knowing this, in the night, Dhruva Maharaj leaves the palace and goes towards the forest. And when there is Supreme Personality of Godhead is there in the heart of every living entity, and he knows what is happening. So he instructs Narad Muni. Narad Muni came to know this person is going there, so let us go and test him. And if he, because he is a small child and he needs protection, so that is the compassionate nature of the Vaishnava. So Narad Muni come to know, and then he started going towards the forest, and he meets Dhruva there and speaks. He says that you are a small boy, you should not be affected by honor and dishonor. Whatever your mother has told you, just she has told it. Why you are so much disturbed? This is the time of your playing. You should play now. And then he was testing. He was testing the determination of Dhruva Maharaj. So he's asking many things. So an intelligent person is satisfied always. So in that satisfaction series there are 3 verses. So this is one of the verse which tells about how one should be satisfied in whatever is provided to him by the Supreme Lord. And later on, Dhruva Maharaj hears everything and says that one who is in the mode of ignorance could not understand what you have told. You have told very nice words, but I am going in so much pain, and I'm a Kshatriya. My blood is boiling. I cannot. I am determined to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead and get a kingdom greater than my father, my grandfather, even my great-grandfather, Lord Brahma. So that is his determination. And after that determination, then Narad Muni takes compassion on Dhruva and tells all the process of how to do the devotional activity. So that is further up. But here in this instruction is just to test Dhruva Maharaj. But it is testing Dhruva Maharaj, but it is very instructive for all of us what we have to do. So let's read this verse now. Yasya, okay, like this. Yasya yadvihitam. Sorry. Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Satena sukha dukkhayoho.
Satena sukha dukkayoho.
Manam toshayan dehi.
Atmanam toshayantehi.
Tamasaha paramrichyati.
Tamasa paramrichyati.
One more time. Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Satena sukha dukkhayoho.
Satena sukha dukkayoho.
Atmanam toshayan dehi.
Atmanam toshayantehi.
Tamasaha paramrichyati.
Tamasa paramrichyati.
One more time. Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Satena sukha dukkhayoho.
Satena sukha dukkayoho.
Manam toshayan dehi.
Atmanam toshayantehi.
Tamasaha paramrichyati.
Tamasaha paramrichyati.
Please recite.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Yasya
yaddaiva vihitam.
Satena sukha dukkayoho.
satena
Sukha dukkhayoho.
Atmanam toshayantehi.
Atmanam toshayantehi.
Tamasa paramrichyati.
Tamasa paramrichyati. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. More recite. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please.
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Satena sukha dukkhayoho.
Satena
Sukha dukkayoho.
Atmanam toshayantehi.
Atmanam toshayantehi.
Tamasa paramrichyati.
tamasa.
Tamasa paramrichyati.
Thank you, Prabhu.
One more recitation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Yasya yaddaiva vihitam.
Sattena sukha dukkayo.
Satena sukha
Dukkayoho.
Atmanam toshayam dehi. Toshayan dehi.
atmanam doshayam.
Toshayantehi.
Tamasah paramrichyati.
Tamasa paramrichyati.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So this, as I was mentioning, the background of this verse, Narad Muni is discussing this to Dhruva Maharaj, and this is the original discussion of Maitreya Muni and Vidura, and Maitreya Muni is explaining it to Vidura. So here what Narad Muni is saying to console Dhruva Maharaj, and it is also instructive for every one of us, what he says. Yasya yad daiva vihitam. Whatever is, daiva means the destiny has in store for us. Vihitam means destiny. It has destiny has in store for us. Satena sukha dukkhayo. And we have to bear that or tolerate that sukha and dukkha. So as by that sukha and dukkha, we have to be affected. Atmanam, but a person who is self-satisfied, what he does, Atmanam toshayam dehi. So he is very much, toshayan means santushta. He is satisfied with the sukha and dukkha which is coming. And by that satisfaction, what happens? Tamasaha param richati. He goes beyond tamasaha. Tamasaha means the darkness. And here, tamasa also means the darkness or the cycle of birth and death. He goes beyond that by bearing sukha and dukkha, which comes as a result of one's karma. or which is destined to come. So that is what Narad Muni is explaining Dhruva Maharaj, that you should not think much about it, and you are very small boy, and you should be happy with whatever is happening, because that is not in our control. It is the control of the Daiva or the destiny who gives us this, and we have to accept it wholeheartedly. And you are a small boy, and when you become a little older, you can come, because this is not an easy job to do. Many different yogis and sadhakas they do, and they could not reach the ultimate destination. And you are just a small boy. You go home and come back again when you are a little older, and then I would instruct you, and you take to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the gist of what this series of verses say. But this verse is just mentioning that one should be happy with whatever situation Lord has given to him, because this is the quota of thing that one has to go through. And if one goes through that with happiness, even in both ways, like sukha and dukkha, in not happiness, the word here is toshayam. He is always satisfied with even he is getting sukha or dukkha. Then he would go beyond tamasah param, beyond the darkness, which is very big, means that is the Maya Shakti of the Lord. He will go beyond that. So let's read the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
One should try to keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, which is offered by the Supreme Will. A person who endures in this way is able to cross over the darkness of nescience very easily.
Thank you, Prabhu. So it's darkness of nations means tama andha. That is andhakar. So that nation science nations. So in that way. So he goes beyond that. So one who endures in this way. So this is the instruction of Narad Muni, and politely Dhruva says not to obey this instruction. But anyway, this is for us. And Dhruva Maharaj obeyed this instruction in a different way, because Narad Muni was testing his determination. So let's read the purport what Srila Prabhupada says here. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Material existence consists of pious and impious fruitive activities. As long as one is engaged in any kind of activity other than devotional service, it will result in the happiness and distress of this material world. When we enjoy life in so-called material happiness, it is to be understood that we are diminishing the resultant actions of our pious activities. And when we are put into suffering, it is to be understood that,
Yeah, it is correct.
correct. That we are diminishing the resultant actions of our impious activities. Instead of being attached to the circumstantial happiness and distress resulting from pious or impious activities, if we want to get out of the clutches of this nescience, then whatever position we are put in by the will of the Lord, we should accept. Thus, if we simply surrender onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we shall get out of the clutches of this material existence. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. See, beautifully he brings, every verse he brings out so beautiful message. It starts with saying material existence consists of pious and impious fruitive activities, like because the law of karma is there. So if a good karma will have good result, and a bad karma would have bad results. So pious and impious activities. But one thing Srila Prabhupada says is very important. As long as one is engaged in any kind of activity other than devotional service, saying that devotional service is beyond these fruitive activities. It is not in the realm of karma. One goes beyond karma. And that is called means vikarma, not vikarma, akarma. That is called akarma. Vikarma is not a good karma. So it will result in the happiness and distress of the material world. So any other kind of activity other than devotional service will result in happiness and distress, because that is the law of nature and it will happen. And Srila Prabhupada says here also, when we enjoy life, it is so-called material happiness. That is to be understood that we are diminishing our pious credits, but we have gone through by different lifetimes. We have had so many pious things with us. So that's why we are enjoying this life like that. And when you see so many people, they are millionaires, billionaires, or doing so many different activities that you see there, that is their pious credits that they have done, and they are reaping the results of that. And once they are reaping it, it is all diminished. And same thing when we are suffering, it is our impious activities that we might have done that is resulting in the resultant actions. But elsewhere it is being also mentioned that when one is in devotional service, his karma principle goes on. He would get the results, but the results will not be as strong, like as one should think about. Like, for example, it is lowered by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, if Lord so desires. So that is the nature. But that doesn't mean that we should do devotional service because of that only, because our distresses or our happiness would be taken care of. If that is the case, then that is not pure bhakti, that is Mishrit bhakti. When we have a Mishrit bhakti or Mishrit devotion, we'll get a Mishrit result or mixed result. It will not be one of the purest form of bhakti. So, but one can start in that platform when it is in the Mishrit form. But one's goal is not to remain in that situation. One should go towards the pure bhakti. So, instead of being attached to the circumstantial happiness and distress resulting from pious and impious activity, so Srila Prabhupada says, to get out of the clutches of nations, whatever position we are, we should actually accept that and say, this is because of my karma, I am getting to it. And one should devote his life to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In whatever condition one it is, say it is by the mercy of the Lord. Maybe Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, I think in one of the chapters, he says in the purport that when somebody is in distress, he thinks that I have done so bad karma that I may be in distress more than this, what I am getting now. By the mercy of the Lord, I am getting less. That is his mood. And when he gets all the different enjoyable things, he thinks, all the enjoyment and all the happiness that I see is temporary. And second thing is, it is because of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the supreme enjoyer. And by his mercy, I am getting. So that mood is always there. One is not affected by the distress and happiness. So thus, if we simply surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he ends in a very beautiful way, we shall get out of the clutches of material existence. So getting out of clutches of material existence is just to simply surrender to the Supreme Lord. And we can surrender by associating with the pure devotees of the Lord, like Srila Prabhupada, and following Srimad Bhagavatam. And because it is the stories of, or the katha of, or the history of the devotees of the Lord. So I'll pause here. And if there are any realizations, any questions, any corrections, you are all welcome. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the Katha, Prabhu, today.
Thank you.
So my takeaway is, though it is very difficult for people like me to think even in the distress, it is arrangement of Krishna. I am praying Lordships to give me that strength to think during my bad times.
Yeah, it is difficult. It is written here, but when the real distress comes to our life, it's very difficult to, that time we don't even remember the Supreme Lord sometimes. So if we have that, if we have read somewhere, if we have that inspiration, maybe that time we would remember Supreme Lord. And then by gradual process, hote, as Prabhuji says, at one point of time, we would have, when we are in distress, we would remember the Supreme Lord. When we are in happiness, we'll remember the Supreme Lord. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful realization.
So Mother Sunita and Kunti Maharani, they are very inspiring personalities in that sense. Thinking about Lord even in the problem given time, right? So they always think about the Lord.
Yeah, they are exalted personalities.
Yeah.
So they are like so that's the reason. If you remember, later on I think in the fourth canto towards the end, or in the fifth canto, when Dhruva Maharaj completes his pastime, I think in the fourth canto only, later chapters, when he completes his time here and he is ready to go to the spiritual world, the Vimana comes, and then he was boarded into that plane, and he thinks, oh Vishnuditas, I have another desire. Is it not possible to take my mother also? And they told, don't worry, she's going in forward. You can see she's already going.
Yes, Prabhu.
That is the thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the Katha, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.